4% of respondents to a recent poll said that they had quit their low-paying jobs because of the financial freedom offered to them by investing in crypto. Seems like a really, really high number to me, but this is based on an actual scientific survey. Also, we have Cynthia Lummis, the wonderful senator from Wyoming, saying that Bitcoin is here to stay, but maybe a lot of other coins aren't. We're going to take a look at all the news and the charts today. As always, you do not want to miss this. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and just gently tickle the like button. Gently tickle the like button. Yes, guys, I know there was an error. The stream was scheduled for accidentally for 11:30 a.m. instead of 9:30 a.m. We just changed it, but yeah, unfortunately, anyone who got an alert probably isn't here and will be strangely looking for this stream in 2 hours. Hence why we may have quite an empty waiting room. Kenneth would like you to know that he hates my intro song. Kenneth, I made that song myself, so I'm personally offended, and I think that you can go. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care what you think of the song. Just mute it. Mute it, buddy. Mute it. No big deal. If you don't like it, yeah, do like my 6-year-old does when I tell her to eat vegetables. Plug your ears. Guys, as I said before, let's dig right into the news. Crypto is creating newfound wealth and job freedom for many Americans. Whether you've invested in cryptocurrency or understand what it is, there's no denying that over the last year, it has demonstrated staying power. Yeah, of course. Bitcoin, for instance, as of time of writing, is valued at over $61,000. But that's not the important part. Here, there's a million questions here, but let's go ahead and just dive right into the first one. Have you or someone you know quit their job at some point over the last year due to financial freedom earned by investing in cryptocurrency? 4% of respondents said yes. This is not specific just to crypto people. 4% said yes. Listen, I think that number is exceptionally high. Obviously, I don't believe that 4% of the general population has quit their jobs because of crypto, but this is out of 6,741 respondents, and that is a really high number. Either way, to me, it's astounding that even anyone is able to quit their jobs or low-paying jobs because of this, and it's absolutely thrilling to hear. I'm curious. I'm going to go look over here. Have any of you quit your jobs this year because of the money that you've made in crypto? You guys quitting these jobs? Have you guys quit your jobs? First of all, I think it's one thing to quit because you've made a ton of money in investment. If you've realized the profit, okay, then you have the money. If it's just in a portfolio and could still go down, maybe don't quit your job. And if you're intending to be a professional trader, definitely don't quit your job because you're going to need that income when you inevitably lose for the first 2 or 3 years when you're learning how to do it. Let me see what you got over here. Got into crypto for my kids? No. Thinking about it? Look, yes. Nearly. Not yet. Yes. A lot of you, I quit in January. A lot of you have actually quit your jobs. Look at this. I retired in 2018 due to crypto. Well, thank you for still hanging out with us. Retiree, you could be off playing golf like I'm trying to do. I haven't worked for the last 6 years. Is that because of crypto or just in general? Scott, you look very smart without a cap. I don't wear a hat all the time. Sometimes I don't wear a hat. But yeah, guys, this is a very, very big number, 4%. Even if it was 1 or 2%, can you imagine the impact that crypto is having on the lives of people and how many people, assuming this bull run continues and we get more mainstream adoption, will be quitting their jobs to join us full time? Really, really inspiring and amazing to see. Bitcoin here to stay. A lot of other cryptos are not. We have Senator Lummis. If you guys did not see my podcast with her a couple weeks ago, you have to go watch it. She's obviously a pro-Bitcoin senator. She bought Bitcoin for the first time in 2013, I believe, maybe 14. I think it was 2013. She bought 3 Bitcoin. She's been adding to her stack. And Wyoming, of course, I know everybody talks about Florida and Texas, but Wyoming really has been ahead of the charge with regulation and reasonable and sensible regulation and legislation in the crypto space as far as states go in the U.S. Let's take a look really quick at what she had to say here. Tell me if you agree.
We've got a screen up, you probably can't see. We got Bitcoin, we have Ether, we have Dogecoin at the bottom. There's another Shiba Inu there. The two of those are worth $80 billion. I mean, I know that you probably think that Bitcoin is here to stay. Do you think all of these different crypto assets are real and here to stay, or is there something to be concerned with? And do we need oversight so that people aren't left holding the bag for some of these things, whether they do or not? I'm not predicting one way or another.
I do think that Bitcoin is here to stay, and I think a lot of the others are not. The fact that Bitcoin is fully decentralized and that some of these others were issued by a person or an entity that kept a large block of the coin for themselves and then issued others to participate means they look more like a security than a commodity. Bitcoin is clearly a commodity. It is digital gold. So I do think that having a regulatory framework within which this can exist and innovate, meaning this entire space of digital assets, but that protects consumers at the same time is extremely valuable. And that's why we in the financial innovation.
Okay, well, that's tripping out a little bit, but yeah, she's right. She's right, guys. She's right. First of all, Bitcoin obviously is here to stay. Metcalfe's law, network effect, whatever you want. We've reached a level of adoption where Bitcoin's not going anywhere. We have like 10,000 coins. We have 10,000 coins, probably don't need 9,900 of them, right? And that's not a knock on these coins. Yes, of course, at the very end, there's some outright scams, stupid things, memes that we all know won't exist or just for trading or jokes. But even some of the coins that we love that are probably in the top 100, 200 will cease to exist over time, just like a high percentage of companies on the stock market, restaurants going out of business. These are entrepreneurial ventures, speculative assets to a large degree, but this is not a bad thing. I talk about it all the time as being much like the internet boom of the 90s. People talk about crypto being like the internet boom as a negative, which is the dumbest low IQ thing ever. The internet boom of the 90s is just like crypto in this way. We had the internet. Every entrepreneur in the world and brilliant thinker decided, hey, this is where I want to innovate. They all went and tried. Many of them failed. Their failures advanced the ball for the Amazons, Googles, and the biggest companies that we now have in the world that arose from that bubble. That's what's happening in cryptocurrency. Of course, the smartest, most aggressive people in the world have come to the cryptocurrency space to innovate and compete. Most will fail, and the ones who succeed will be the Googles, Facebooks, and Amazons of the future. She is absolutely not wrong. Regulation will probably crush quite a few of these when they are deemed securities, but most of the ones that we love that have a network effect and have been adopted will continue to exist, and that is a good thing. I see Michael Steven here talking about MySpace. MySpace was the greatest social media platform of all time. I hope you're not talking about it negatively. Deep Sea would like us to know. My friend Deep Sea in Philly, he wasn't here yesterday because a homeless man stole my car. That is the most Philly story I've ever heard of all Philly stories. Because she's not wrong, and this is not a bad thing, right? Just invest wisely, concentrate your portfolio on the best performing assets and the ones most likely to succeed, and forget about all the memes and the jokes and the things that are low cap that probably have no use case ever. Congressman Emer Soto want SEC to approve a spot market Bitcoin ETF. Well, join the party, guys. Everyone wants the SEC to approve a spot market Bitcoin ETF. The bipartisan congressional tag team argues that investors should have a choice over which product is most suitable for them. Absolutely. The SEC, Gary Gensler, they're supposed to be protecting consumers. You're not protecting consumers when you allow the launch of an inferior product, when you have people registering to do the real thing. We all know that a spot ETF would track the actual asset. We all know that it's actually less risky than a futures ETF, which can separate from spot price because you're trading on the future expected value. And some of these ETFs are going to have to buy futures contracts that are more than a month out. This is all really obvious. So here you go. Here's what they said. We question why, if you're comfortable allowing trading in an ETF based on derivatives contracts, you're not equally or more comfortable allowing trading to commence in ETFs based on spot Bitcoin, the congressman wrote. Bitcoin spot ETFs are based directly on the asset, which inherently provides more protection for investors. Obviously, because then the ETFs would have to actually custody and hold the underlying asset, right? And it's not here, but I read it elsewhere. They made an amazing corollary to gold, right? Gold has a physical backed ETF and futures backed ETFs, and the gold physical backed ETFs have like 1,000 times the volume than the physically backed. When you have both options, it's obvious the one that investors will choose. It's obvious the one that is more protective of those investors' interests, and it's obvious which one will track the underlying asset better. I don't think this pressure from Congress is going to matter. Our Congress is beyond fundamentally broken. They're never going to legislate on any of this stuff. It's so far down the priority list. But it's nice to see that a few of them, and this is bipartisan, right? Emmer's a Republican, Soto's a Democrat. Nice to see that a few of them are actually discussing this and putting pressure, even though it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. We got futures. I think it's going to be quite a long while before we see physical. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I don't know. Talking about Bitcoin, let's take a look very quickly at the chart, guys. I've showed you the charts over and over again, the higher time frame charts. I don't want to waste time reiterating the same ones. This was the 4-hour chart I shared yesterday. I said hopefully we see support here. As of right now, we have perfect support after this breakout of this descending resistance, holding a support. 50 MA holding here as support. This definitely looked like a liquidity grab. So for now, I would say Bitcoin is somewhat chopping sideways, sitting on support, not very much to worry about. And when Bitcoin is sort of chopping sideways and sitting on support, altcoins tend to perform exceptionally well. Coinbase confirmed it's launching a subscription service with zero fees. Zero fees. One of the biggest complaints, obviously, about Coinbase is their fees. And if you trade there with size, they can really, really add up. I have not seen many details on this, but it will be a subscription service. The question is, will it be like $10 a month, or will it be like $100 a month, $1,000 a month? Perhaps it's down here, but I have not seen it in the article from what I've noticed. And it has insurance as well. So really adding a huge element here for people who are trading with size to get zero fees, unlimited. But my assumption is, it says there will probably be a price spread. Right? Listen, I love Voyager. It's where I trade. They have no fees, but they have a spread. It's still cheaper than Coinbase, but because there's a spread, it's akin to having fees. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But much like in regular, legacy exchanges, there's been pressure to move to no fee models with stocks for years. I think that we will see that in crypto as well. Good for everyone if that is what happens. Now, continuing to move on, Loopring Ethereum token surges on rumors of GameStop NFT alliance. Loopring's token is up more than 200% over the last week on reports that Ethereum scaling solution will provide GameStop NFT marketplace. What's interesting here is that sort of the narrative before for Loopring was Ethereum gas fees are really high. They're insane. It's almost impossible. You have to be exceptionally wealthy to even use Ethereum at the moment. Really, if you want to send Ethereum, it's a couple $100 right now. A couple $100. It's absurd. So people have been pushed, obviously, toward the Matics and Polygons. Matic is Polygon and Looprings of the world. They're layer 2 solutions that reduce those fees and increase the speed, right? Well, now they're saying that the reason this happened is because of the rumors of GameStop NFT alliance, which I had not heard yesterday. That would absolutely be huge if it does happen. Let's take a quick look at the LRC chart. I shared this twice yesterday, right? We had the breakout here. It was originally on the weekly that I shared it. Absolutely monster weekly chart. If you go back to the beginning of time on this chart, low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This asset has technically never been in a bear market, has never had a bearish structure, at least on Binance on the USDT pair, right? But zooming in on the daily, you have a break of the all-time high. Now, maybe you'll get the exact retest of 91 cents, but what you did get, as I talk about these all the time, we get the break. Next candle usually comes back for the retest of support. You got 92 cents instead of 91 cents, and then it's mooned. Listen, if you're trying to buy this, a logical place is to still, spray and pray, as we like to say, put some orders around this area and see if you can get a dip and catch it on the way up. You might not get that retest, though, at this point. This looks like an exceptionally bullish chart in price discovery after breaking the all-time high. Galaxy Digital's October AUM grew more than 40%, $3.1 billion. Mike Novogratz is making so much money, it ain't even funny. Galaxy's roster of Canadian ETFs are the driving force behind the surge. Also, their Ethereum product, of course, because Ethereum has been hitting all-time highs. But look at this. Compared to the equivalent figure in 2020 in October, the firm's assets under management has grown over 600% from 446 million. This is your bellwether for what's happening with institutional adoption in the crypto space. funds like Galaxy, where institutions and accredited investors go to pour their money, this is where you can see what's really happening. And it's up 600% since last year. Money is pouring into this industry hand over fist. Absolutely unstoppable. I love this story, except for that I hate Kentucky basketball. I love the story. Kentucky basketball team will get payouts from FTX in a new deal. We all know that, as I've said many times before, Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, they are buying everything out here. You know the quote.
Well, obviously, we have rape.
Right. We've been through that. You hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband. They're investing in everything out here. Well, now we know one of the things I've been banging my fist about for probably 2 decades, college athletes are allowed to accept money for endorsements, which was never a thing before. They were basically just pawns in a massive game, making money on their likeness without them ever seeing a penny of it. Absolutely disgusting. But now FTX US is changing that, right? We've seen some endorsements of college athletes, but here's what they're doing. I'll just read it to you. FTX.US, the US arm of the fast-growing FTX crypto exchange, on Wednesday announced a name, image, and likeness sponsorship deal with the school men's team, whereby each Wildcats player will receive monthly stipend paid out in US dollars via FTX debit cards. Each can also create their own NFT on the FTX platform and can keep most of the revenue on such sales, according to a press release. The athletes, in return, will act as brand ambassadors for FTX. We now have the entire Kentucky college basketball team, and let's be real, we're going to see this across the board, now acting as crypto brand ambassadors and creating and selling their own NFTs. This seems like something that would never, ever happen, and the fact that this is happening right now is absolutely insane. I love it. And I do believe that these kids, because they are kids, deserve to be compensated, and they deserve to be compensated in the crypto space. Absolutely beautiful. NYC, here we are. Eric Adams aims to make NYC crypto friendly with coins similar to Miami's. Yeah, well, Eric Adams, he won the mayoral race for New York City. Funny, Andrew Yang ran for president, and people kind of forget that he ran for mayor and had an utterly failed campaign, but now obviously has the Forward Party. So we'll see if anybody supports that and if he can create a real third party. But he got slaughtered pretty much in New York City. Didn't even really make it through the election. But yeah, so listen, I mean, Eric Adams has had a funny history of awkward quotes about Bitcoin, but he is passionate about Bitcoin and he wants to compete with Miami. He sort of jokingly said that, they're going to create a New York coin like the Miami coin. That will probably be created on Stacks by the same platform, Citicoins. Really, really cool. And that he wants to make New York a crypto-friendly city. He said that time for the jobs to come back from Florida back to New York. Listen, having mayors of Miami and New York now elected who are passionate about cryptocurrency and want to bring crypto jobs and make crypto-friendly cities is amazing. The only problem is that New York City sits in New York State, which is probably the least crypto-friendly state in the nation. So good luck with this. I hope that he wins, but he's going to have to make some serious changes to state law for them to actually be able to do this. I mean, most New York citizens can't even interact right now with most of the exchanges that the rest of the country can. El Salvador's Bukele announces new Bitcoin education project. I'm sure you guys saw this. El Salvador will construct 20 Bitcoin schools using a surplus from its Bitcoin fund. They all obviously already broke ground on a previously announced pet hospital. People were super pissed that the government was spending their money on a pet hospital. That's up to you to decide whether that's a problem. You guys, you love to see this. They've made so much money on Bitcoin that they can affect real change by opening 20 schools funded by those Bitcoin gains. What I find really interesting here is that when almost anyone publicly sells any of their Bitcoin, we see absolute rage and anger from the community. And there hasn't been a peep about that here. No part of the story has been that they're taking profits, right? People were so enraged when Elon Musk took a little bit of profit to pad his earnings in the first quarter, but nobody's talking about that with El Salvador. I think that's good. Right? Because it's a good lesson. If you can do something to change your life or the lives of others with the gains that you've made on any asset, you should take a little profit and make that change. You only live once. if you can make a material difference in your lives or open 20 schools with your gains that you've just made in the last month or two, you should absolutely do that. I support this. We know that they will continue to buy Bitcoin, but I think that it's really, really interesting. So anyways, continuing on right now, adding to the stream. Here we go. Cash App now available to 13 and above. Will teens soon be able to buy Bitcoin? I'm going to summarize for you. No, they can't. They can't. Right here. Michael Saylor asked it. Does this mean teens can now buy Bitcoin? We all know Cash App is owned by Square, is owned by Jack. Jack says not yet. Obviously, listen, Cash App is not a bank, right? It's an app that's used to send, hold, and receive money. It's basically a digital transaction wallet, but they have added features of buying Bitcoin, but you can't add those features right now for 13-year-olds because you just can't. Like legally, that's not going to happen. So maybe it will happen, but this was originally being reported as if everyone 13 and over was going to be able to buy Bitcoin. They are not, but still absolutely huge to see the digital economy moving down the age groups all the way to 13. Now 13-year-old kids will be able to transact back and forth with one another, with the parents. When my kid turns 13, I'm definitely going to be paying their allowance in digital money, digitally, so they can learn how to do that. Moving on, Australian senator says clear crypto regulations will be introduced within a year. Oh, well, at least some country in the world actually wants to give us some clarity. He said he expects the country to establish clear crypto rules in the next 12 months. Here you go. To my surprise, I've never seen an industry so keen for regulation. Almost everyone I've spoken to in this industry understands that regulation would bring credibility and validity to this sector that have been cast aside by many as fanciful and illegitimate for its 12-year lifespan. Now, he's recommending crypto-friendly regulation. They think that they'll get that. I reported just to you yesterday, Australia actually is the country number 3 adopting crypto. Like, Australians absolutely love it. There's been a ton of adoption, third country in the world. By that rate. So you have to assume that it's going to be friendly. But it's nice to see that the government there is taking a positive and non-abrasive and non-aggressive approach to regulation. It seems that we will get that kind. But I love that quote from him saying, listen, like, this is true here too. A lot of the time, we don't care. A lot of people don't care what the regulation looks like. They just want some clarity so that they can operate, right? In the United States, you don't even know if you can start a company because there's no clarity, and you might be in violation of a law that doesn't even exist yet, or some securities regulation that has not yet been made. I mean, it was Poloniex or Kraken. I think Poloniex was fined $10 million for something they did in 2017 that wasn't even against the law in 2017, right? So listen, we all want reasonable regulation. We want sensible regulation, but more than anything, we just want clarity. What can we do and what can we not do so that we can get on with our lives and continue to innovate? Someone took out a $1.4 million loan with an NFT as collateral. Listen, this is what rich people do. Instead of selling your hard assets, you take a loan against them. This is a pretty aggressive loan, though. Here it goes. This is becoming increasingly popular, but this is the largest one ever. A loan has been issued for $1.4 million using the crypto platform NFTFi. The terms of the deal are 30 days at 9.69% APR. Pretty high interest rate and only 30 days. So someone needed cash and they needed it fast. And this has worked well for NFT lenders before. Here you go. One of them. They previously lent out 3.5 ETH. It was only 7,350 at the time. And when that loan wasn't repaid, they received as collateral an elevated deconstructions NFT worth $340,000. Pretty good deal for the platform when someone defaults. But this is the future, right? I just talked to you yesterday. Coinbase has now introduced lending up to $1 million, right? You could take 40% of your crypto holdings, Bitcoin holdings on Coinbase. We've seen this on Celsius, Nexo, BlockFi, of course. But to see it on Coinbase is a pretty big deal. 40% out up to $1 million. So if you have $2.5 million in Bitcoin on Coinbase, you can take $1 million loan. This is how rich people have stayed rich since the beginning of time, by not selling anything. That'll be an 8% loan. It's pretty high, but do you think that Bitcoin will do better than 8% over the next few years on a yearly basis? It always has. So it's a pretty safe bet. You should listen to my second podcast with Michael Saylor if you want to hear how billionaires have done this since the beginning of time with many assets. Michael Saylor was very excited about that news. But this is what you do. You don't take a taxable transaction ever. You take loans rather than selling. You sell, you have capital gains. If you take a loan, you pay back the loan, Generally, the asset appreciates more than the percentage on the loan. You pay it back with other income. You never sell anything. You die, and your children get a higher cost basis. That's how this works. That is how this works. Voyager expands AVAX NFT DeFi offerings with Avalanche integration. I love both of these companies, as you know. You've probably heard I had a podcast with Steve Ehrlich from Voyager. I did a Q&A with them, a live AMA for people to ask questions. They were one of my early sponsors, and I've used Voyager literally since the day that they launched. I'm a huge homer for everything that they're doing. And I've also had John and Emin both on my podcast 3 times total between the two of them. I love both of these platforms. It's amazing to see this. It's amazing to see. Here you go. Voyager Digital recently reported they expect consistent staking revenues of $40 million to $50 million per quarter. So they're going to allow you to stake AVAX there. CEO Steve Ehrlich said last week that the company intends to make NFTs on multiple platforms accessible to its users in 2022. Everybody's going to have an NFT platform. We've talked about this. Most of them already do. Voyager, frankly, they're a little bit behind here, but it's amazing to see them doing the integration and doing this the right way. They've never rushed, obviously, to do anything or be first. They want to do it well, and that sometimes means being a little later. But here you go. As the rise of gas fees continues to affect Ethereum and Ethereum-based applications, Avalanche makes a perfect partner for Voyager, as it is cost-efficient and compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine. Avalanche's growing ecosystem is a great fit as we continue to expand the Voyager ecosystem towards DeFi and NFTs. Love to see it. Love to see it. I'm a huge fan of both of these. Just more adoption of great platforms. Here's the VGX token. Very little price history, as you can see, calculated by TradingView for Binance. That's why you get all these wicks, because it's not exactly accurate. But we had this breakout. Looks like it's also getting a retest of the 50 MA here on the daily. And this looks a lot like Bitcoin. This is actually strong support. Should be heading up from there. And at AVAX, listen, this just made another higher high, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. I put this in the newsletter this morning, which was free. Newsletter this morning was free. You should go read it. You can read it right online. Had the breakout. Now, listen, this is at resistance. It's not a buy, but if it clears 79.80 and closes a candle, this is once again price discovery, which I've showed you over and over and over again on so many coins. Listen, this already went into price discovery here at $60. Now it can go into price discovery again for new all-time high at 79.80, but you got to clear this line. You don't want to have a bearish SFP or a wick above. So we're waiting to clear that and head up above. Announcing the public scale of our ride token. So this is a link from HoloRide. This wasn't the link I actually intended to share. If you guys have not seen this, Elrond, who you also know I'm a huge fan of, Elrond has launched Mayor, and they have a Mayor launchpad, and this is an absolutely huge project, HoloRide, that's going to be launching on that later this month. If you guys haven't seen about HoloRide, it is actually in the newsletter today. You can read more about it. But this is Audi backed. They have partnerships with the biggest car companies in the world for VR experiences in your car. Now, I'm hoping people aren't going to wear Oculus goggles while they're driving. This is really for the passengers, people in the back seat. But if you look at it, it's absolutely insane. A complete virtual reality metaverse that interacts with your car and your route so that you can basically be in the metaverse and playing every time that you are in your car. But the news here, obviously, is this partnership and that it's launching on Elrond and the Elrond blockchain, because HoloRide is likely to be one of the biggest mainstream projects ever to launch. And that's happening there and not on one of the, I guess at the moment, more commercial or bigger known launchpads. Let's take a look at the E-Gold token. Again, price discovery, and this one is already retested as support. So this should be good to go anywhere above $303. If you have not been riding with me, we were in this before it was E-Gold. It was ERD, 15 sats trading against Bitcoin to 300. Then they rebranded, came back in when E-Gold was $10, $67, $100. These are all things I've posted in the newsletter as it's gone up. Here now we have, once again, another potential opportunity, the highest entry ever, $303. If you had told me I'd be buying Elrond at $303 when I was buying it at fractions of that years ago, I would have told you were nuts. But here we are, and Bitcoin and the crypto markets are still bullish AF. As I mentioned before, pull this up. This is the newsletter. It was free today. So I have a newsletter. It comes out 5 days a week. It's $15 a month. I encourage you to join the paid side if you choose, but there's also a free version. It's exactly the same, and it just comes out less frequently. So every other Thursday, it comes out. You can kind of see what it looks like here. I generally write a really long intro, and this is all the things that's in it, right? We've got the Bitcoin charts, altcoin charts, setups, not signals, I took a look at Facebook today. Into the Block, I have a partnership with them. They're on-chain analysts. They wrote 2 pieces today for the newsletter. And then, of course, all of the news. So listen, you can see more information on a few of the things that I discussed today in the newsletter. But yeah, guys, check it out. The link is in the description. You can read it for free online and or subscribe. That's all I got for you guys today. I will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Daily Time.
That's dope.
That's dope. That's dope. We'll be back. Hope you guys join. We will schedule it for the right time so that everybody actually shows up tomorrow. That was our mistake. Our mistake. My bad. Sorry, y'all, if you missed it, but you'll be able to see it on the replay, as Rihanna would say. Thank you, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
That's dope.